BC has finally unveiled its much-awaited reference question to the Court of Appeal on the issue of pipelines. This is the question that's caused a ton of debate, threats of retaliation from Alberta and from Ottawa, trying to hinder or delay or outright cancel the Kinder Morgan pipeline expansion from Alberta to BC. So British Columbia has three questions for the court. They're constitutional questions about whether BC has the power, the jurisdiction, to regulate how much oil or other oil substances flow into British Columbia, whether that conflicts with any federal laws, and whether that's a hazardous substance that can be regulated through provincial borders. Now, this is also going to be a question for the courts to decide on British Columbia's proposed legislation. They've attached a bill to the courts, and this bill would set permits for whether companies can transport heavy oil products through British Columbia. So basically, a company that is going to increase the amount of oil it transports by rail, by truck, by pipeline in BC would have to get a license. And that license would go through a whole process. So British Columbia has set legislation for that, and they've given it to the courts along with these three questions, and they've said, come back to us with a ruling on whether this is constitutional. There is no timeline for this. Kinder Morgan has set a May 31st deadline to pull out of the project if it doesn't get certainty. No guarantee. In fact, the Attorney General of BC, David Eby, said it's highly unlikely BC will get some type of court ruling by the May 31st deadline, which just sets up a whole nother crisis around that date. What will Kinder Morgan do if there's no certainty, if the court hasn't decided on the reference question? What will Alberta do in retaliation to BC's reference question? What is Ottawa going to do on investing in the pipeline or exerting its federal influence? So one step forward, but certainly not the end of the long-standing Kinder Morgan pipeline issue in BC as we wait to see what the courts decide on the reference question.